Okay, Year 9, this video is going to be covering our third skill in our skill booklet. We've looked at political maps, cadastral maps, and we are now on to page 15, which we are looking at thematic and land use maps. For this video, I'm going to be doing the questions for our map looking at food shortages in Europe and see how thematic maps work and how to read them and what are their key uses. So we're going to flip over to page 16 and we can see this colourful map that we have here, food shortages in Europe 1918, and this is in the last year of the First World War. So what does it have to tell us? What can we learn from it? How do we read it? First of all, first question, what is the theme being shown on the map? Well, the theme you can find in the title of any of these maps. So the theme is showing food shortages in Europe 1918. It might not always be the entire title. I just think because it's quite specific, you just put the whole thing down. This one down here, what is the range of the theme or the symbols on the map? This is where we come down to the key that's at the bottom. It's going to show our range, and it ranges from famine conditions, so people being on the brink of starvation, all the way up to this dark bluey grey sort of color, which is sufficient food, so everybody's happy. So the range is going to go from famine conditions, I'll put a little dash, sufficient food supply. And you can see that if that key was just 1 to 5, your answer would just be 1 to 5. You're just showing that you understand the range of the spectrum that's being shown on the map. Number 3, how many nations have sufficient food? Fall into the sufficient food category. It's going to be anything that's dark, that dark grey blue. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 different nations. How many nations have a serious food shortage? So everything that is in the yellow. 1, 2, 3. Seems pretty easy. Like, why are we even doing a test on this? This is where the real benefit comes from once we get down to number 5. First 4 questions are, can you just read the map? Number 5 is, what is the intel that we're getting out of it? So first of all, identify. Identify, another word of saying that would be make it clear. So make it clear to everybody what is the trend or the trends that you notice in the map. So what is the insight? What is the important points of information? What are the patterns that you see? So first of all, if I'm having a bit of a look at the map, what are some of the patterns? Colors. Well, the thing that stands out to me is that the majority of the grey blue nations are not in the center of the map. So we have this picture of Europe. In the center of Europe, it seems to get worse and worse. Switzerland seems to be an exception. But these areas out here, which have access to the water, everything seems to be quite fine. So that would be one of the trends that I would put down. I don't need to know anything about the war. It's just what we can take from the map. So the nations which have access to the sea have maintained sufficient food supply. That's just one trend. You don't have to know, who was fighting on what side in the First World War. You don't have to know, for example, that Switzerland was neutral and that would be playing a role. That information is not there for you. It's just what you can see. Another trend, as I was saying before, the countries that are closest to the center seem to be getting into this famine sort of condition. So that would be another trend. And because we've got the multiple lines, we want to do one more than one thing. So as you get closer to the center, the food conditions get poorer. And you could come up with something a bit more sophisticated, as making a bit of a jump to say, well, maybe the countries that are of similar color are on the same side of the war. That's completely up to you if you want to make that stretch, but you always start with stating what is most obvious, because you might be making a really wild guess. So, in summary, how do we use our thematic maps? First, we show that we can read them, understand the theme, understand the range, have a go at identifying a couple of the different colors that are used in the thematic map. But the most important part is, what are the trends? Identify it, lay it out. What are the patterns that you see? What is useful about this map, and what could it tell you about the country or the state of the world? Rightio. You should have everything you need to have a go now at the land use map on the next page, on page 17, and then we'll have a crack at the assessment task.